networking. It's going, it's nurturing the relationships, it's taking care of people, making it happen in business. Yeah.
Well, when you see today what we did, within 4.5 hours, got 73 new business client potentials of large corporations, school districts, government entities, power plants, all by investment, networking, effort, energy, coordination, design, acquisition, setup, presentation, and presence.
Mm-hmm.
So with all 10 of those factors were our success factors for today. And if you do all those things, as you see, whether it's global networking, whether it's Mexican international relations, whether it's corporate furniture liquidity, it's all the same. It's the ethic and the planning that goes behind everything that is why we're all successful.
Yeah.
So I just want the podcast listeners to know that if you have your plan and you follow the blueprint properly, that's what's going to ensure your success. If you deviate from a proven plan, that's where the risk happens.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Purpose Over Pleasure podcast. And today we have a special guest. We have the usual Mr. VIP right here, partner in crime, Kevin Maxwell. And today we have the pleasure of having you here in our Huntington Beach podcast studio, Mr. Reggie Grey. Reggie Grey is a president of Houston Intercontinental Chamber of Commerce and a best-selling author and a Pulitzer Prize nominated author. So, Reggie, the floor is yours. Please tell the audience.
Thank you, guys. It is an honor to get to be here in Los Angeles, and of course with Kevin. Kevin, which I'm so happy to brag about, is one of our members, but he's also on our board of directors. He is our Los Angeles director, covering the West Coast for us, keeping things represented here. He also recently, and by the way, we're a global chamber. We are actually, I think, one of the only chambers I know of. We are now on every continent. We have representatives globally everywhere. Our board and directors are represent everything from the Middle East to Australia, Africa, everywhere. And Kevin is on that as well. And we do events throughout the globe. We have some events we do quite often in Mexico. And I took Kevin to one of those last year. And he got a lot of interest, got a lot of connections. And then he went back again with us last month, actually. Yeah. And he has already expanded, got business going down there. So he's got stuff, I think, going in Las Vegas. He's got stuff going out in Mexico. Got stuff in Houston. And that's the kind of things that we like to do. Our chamber, I've been the president there for 20 years. Before that, I was a VP of marketing. I was a VP of business development for global logistics. So I get economic development. I get international business. I've been to 70 countries worldwide now. I've worked with presidents, prime ministers, royalty, companies. I've spoken globally. But the passion of why I do that stuff is that I just really love watching business grow. I love connecting people. I like to connect them, get out of the way or mediate or whatever we need to do. Mm-hmm. But it's really just about growing the economy, the global economy. I one time asked a friend, in all honesty, I go, dude, do you think I'm prejudiced or have any prejudice to me? He goes, Reg, if you're prejudiced, you really suck at it. Yeah. Because I have like some of my best friends. One is from Saudi, one is from Mexico, and I've got like one's Italian and one's from China. But I've just always been like that. The things that actually attract me are the differences I have with people and not the similarities.
Right.
And I've been like that since I was a little kid. My first girlfriend was Japanese. My first best friend was Chinese, and so on and so on. One of my best friends in high school was Filipino. There's just something I love about the other cultures and other countries and other businesses that has always driven me since I was a little kid. And so when you get something like this, and I love the podcast you guys are doing. I love the opportunities we're going to have here.
Yeah.
And to expand with industries, to expand with subject matter, guests and things, to talk about different topics, different things in the world eventually. This is great. This is a great vehicle. And you two guys are phenomenal hosts to be able to do this. I mean, between your background, law enforcement and all the things that you do, his background of entrepreneurship and business, and now you guys have Cube World Media. I mean, this is going to be great. So I'm honored to get to contribute or, connect some speakers or things like that. But this is going to be phenomenal. I'm so looking forward to the library that you're going to create that could even be exciting interviews, topically and conversationally each week. but the library you'll create that people could refer back to get information from some of these guests you're going to have. So hey, let's get off to the races.
Let's do it. Now, one question I want to ask you, and me and Kevin talk about this all the time, especially right now. Today's April 16, 2025.
Yeah.
The tariffs. Can't escape them. It exists. And you being the world traveler, right? Kevin travels a lot too. I was always asking, like, hey, different states, different countries, what's going on? So asking you that question, what do you think the outcome of the whole Trump's tariff situation, the whole chess power move that we're looking at right now, and it's changing every day? I thought I knew what he's doing. He thought we knew what he's doing, but the chess move that he pulled on China and Asia is pretty incredible. So I got to give him credit for that. So in your opinion, being an intercontinental businessman, and you travel a lot, where do you think we're going with this one? How long is it going to take for things to settle?
What Trump has done, and everybody knows, he's a great strategist. And he, you can say what you like about him, good or bad or whatever. And there's things that he says sometimes like, oh my God, I can't believe it came out of his mouth. But there's other things he does. I'm like, that dude's brilliant. I mean, he's proven that he understands world economics. I mean, he's a business leader everywhere. Unfortunately, some politicians, they get elected and they try to do that, but they really don't have the experience in running companies, let alone a global company or global economies. And he actually does. So what he's done is he created some bargaining chips, and he has the ability to do that because of the strength of the U.S. and our consumers. So he created it. And the other thing that's interesting, that's kind of unfortunate, is people don't realize that the tariffs have always been on us. And we were just so used to it, everybody just didn't even look at them. And all he's saying is going, I just want an even playing field. I mean, I don't even think he's totally calling for total dead even. He just wants to get it better than it is. So I'm really shocked at some of these people. And I think maybe they just don't know the real picture to understand that all he's doing is saying, if you're going to put tariffs on us, we'll put them on you. How would you not, if you're an American citizen, go, yeah, let's just make it fair. So that's what he's trying to do. So it's not even that he's being unrealistic or whatever. Considering that we have tariffs put on us, and then yet we pay for most of NATO, provide all those events. I mean, it's been very one-sided globally. And again, I am very open to working with people and things like that, but I also call it the way it is. I really don't sugarcoat things, and it is that way. I have a lot of friends in China. I think the world of them. I love doing business with them. I've been over there numerous times, all over China. I love the culture. I love the things. So I have a great admiration of China, but there's some things that they have done, because the business people I know and the way they integrate, collaborate is quite different than maybe the way the government-run people do. They're a little more about China first, like Trump's America first, and they try to expand, and they're about globalism and things. And all he's doing is he's reminding them that a massive percent of their economy is based on our consumers.
Yeah, 40%. Direct.
Yeah, see,
Directly,
40%.
yeah.
So when he pulls that back as a bargaining chip and says, well, I'll just hold on to it, and they can try to strong arm it, but all that we'll do is, and what you're seeing, is that other countries go, you know what, we'll take that spot. India, Vietnam, Taiwan. Yeah, they'll go, all right. We'd be happy to take it, China. Of course, China was trying to get them to rally around them, and instead they're going, no, we're good. You stay isolated, and we'll take your spot. Mexico, everybody. So I think they're going, uh-oh. And I think, to be quite honest, and I mentioned this last night talking to somebody, I don't know, but I think you might have a little bit of people that are still maybe a little feeling vengeful about COVID. And that a lot of people feel like that maybe China initiated it, and they're going, all right, here's a little payback, guys. Yeah. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, started off technically, in the words of Trump, right, it came from China.
Yeah.
He said that.
And it cost the world millions of lives and trillions of dollars, and I think everybody's going,
payback.
Yeah, payback. Yeah.
Speaking of Mexico, what you guys have been there recently, what in your opinion is going to happen in the situation with whole Mexico and China that's been going on for a while? Well, and then why is Mexico having such a hard time finally complying with what Trump is asking? Do we have a female leader, or is something else behind curtains?
I'll tell you that, Alex. So what I think, because I've asked the Mexican people this directly, number one, the Mexican people are very proud people, of course. Number two, they're working, manufacturing type people, and they're labor, blue collar type people. So they're actually direct competition with China. And the Mexicans that are there naturalized and working, they don't like China. They don't like to buy from China. They feel like China takes their jobs. And Mexico, like Reggie was saying, would be happy to take China's place, step right in. I'm actually in discussions with the Jalisco government to do so. So they have economic incentive plans right now for American businessmen like you and I. And if you're invited by them, then they give you grants and actually subsidize and pay for your buildings so you can open industrial mixed-use manufacturing plants in Mexico, such as in Guadalajara and Jalisco. With that being said, why are they giving these incentives? Because they want to take China's place. And it's already a whole plan. They got PDFs on it. They got intentions. It's just a matter of who's going to budge first. But then, of course, you have Claudia Sheinbaum, who's a great president from what I've seen. But she's very tough and she's very stubborn. And she's, empowered female. And she runs a country and she's looked at by a lot of men who are looking at her, what are you going to do? So she has to also put on a hard front or they're not going to take her serious too. Even if she wants to work with Trump, it's going to be really hard to work with Trump because all the people that are, in her ear and lobbying her is huge people. So there's a lot of politics involved. And I think Reggie will be able to elaborate on that a little more when we were down there. And he deals with a lot of the politics. I deal with a lot of the hands-on with the people. And so in between, we sort of see a lot. But what do you think, Reggie, with the Mexican people?
It's real challenging for the new president because of being the first woman in the sense that she has a lot that she needs to state. I mean, it's one thing even being the first woman president in the male-dominated economy as it is that she has to face in country.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
But then not only that, she then has to face other world leaders. And even if she wants to maybe give a little bit to make the deal, she has this bless her heart, but she has this thing where then she can't make it look like she is yielding because she's a woman and or weak only because of being a female. So it's like she has to almost be a little bit tougher, even when she doesn't want to be, maybe, or and it's unfortunate that it is that situation, but it is. So when she makes those statements or she does stuff like that, I get it, and I understand why she's doing it. And I hate that it's in that situation, but it is. And I think she's handling it really well. I think, too, what people don't understand, or unfortunately I think the stereotype, is because of the cartels and maybe some of the corruption things in Mexico, there's a constant challenges between government, companies, the organized crime, in the way that you have to operate safely and maneuver in that country that is not the way it is in a lot of other countries. And it's just kind of been the culture for some time. They're really, every leader tries to fight and get around it or maneuver with it. It's just so embedded in different states and in different areas. You have to watch it because, again, too, they've shown that when and there's just lists of leaders and governors and law enforcement that have got against the cartels and they kill them instantly. Them, their families, or whatever. You have all kinds of missing people. So it's a tough situation. We don't see something like that here. We have some crime and different cities are bad, but I don't think you have a government official in any capacity that's worried that if they make a decision, they may be putting themselves in instant death or retaliation or their family. So again, kudos to the officials and the people and what they have to stand up to there, because it's not like that here. So you need to, before you make your decision or before you judge anybody, you need to take that into consideration when they're doing business. And you got to understand this has been going on for decades. So, and they're working to try to get around it, but it's an albatross around their neck.
Yeah, a lot of red tape, and even then, people getting paid and permissions, this and that. Then they war with each other, and they have factions, and one doesn't like the other side.
Yeah.
Then their own people. Then they're good for a while, and then they start fighting. Reggie experienced that this last. We were just talking crazy stuff, right?
Yeah, and the thing that's interesting. So they have administrations, and like where we can do 2 4-year terms of president, where you might lose, but they just get one term, but it's six years.
Mm-hmm.
So they can really spend 6 solid years doing things, which I think that's kind of a good idea because however, when that 6 years is up, you definitely have a full administration change. So really, you have this window of 6 years. Because a lot of times, too, it'll flip parties, right?
Yeah.
And so they're going to go totally the opposite way because maybe they're like, I didn't do what they said. And so you got 6 years to make things happen, but then you better be ready because that next 6 years, it could totally be where all those things that happened are wiped out now because the administration wants to go totally the other way. And so that gets tricky. At least in our setup, there's some lingering, right, governments and contracts and things that happen.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, but that situation has really hit their energy and oil and gas industry a lot when those 6-year administrations switch.
Mm-hmm.
It's been very noticeable.
Okay, that makes sense. Makes sense. Let's bring it back to our country now. Let's talk a little bit more about HICC, right?
Oh, okay.
Projected goals. What are the terms for, or does HICC break the goals like quarterly? Is it like administration for presidency, 4 years, 6 years, and if the terms are set there, what are the goals for HICC?
Good question.
Nationwide and globally, might as well go global.
Yeah. No, that's a great question. So we've been around since 1986, and we started as a regional kind of typical chamber. The original name was something like the North Houston Greens Point Chamber. I came on 20 years ago this year. After about 3 or 4 years, I had put it in motion to change the name and logos and stuff to the Houston Intercontinental, because our airport to the north is called Houston Intercontinental Airport.
Mm-hmm.
And the chamber, really its region was more all of the north region and not just that small area that was somewhat associated with. Well, in that area, though, we had members like Exxon and Halliburton and all these global logistics companies. So we were actually pretty global already. And then I got approached about 15 years ago by the country of Mexico when Peña came in, and he had Senator David Penchino became the Secretary of Energy, and asked if we would help them expand, one of my examples, their energy and their partnerships with like Noble Energy and Halliburton and all these guys. So they were the first country that approached us, and I started doing trips then back and forth, and then Malta actually read about it, the country of Malta. Malta, the country, approached me. Then the country of El Salvador approached me. And then, Panama. So our chamber has its own agreements with countries, and usually with like the presidents, the prime ministers, the governments of economy. And I don't know too many chambers that do. They may go into these trips, but they don't have their own agreements. I have all kinds of pictures of me signing agreements with China and heads of El Salvador and Mexico. And so it was really just to collaborate between our members and their members and business back and forth. And as things started happening, then I started expanding from partnerships, in Europe, the Middle East. And recently, last month in February, I did a trip literally around the world. It was 43,000 miles because of all the things I had to hit. And on the last part of the trip, but I did like London and Italy and Istanbul and Abu Dhabi. And then the last part, I went to Mumbai, India, Singapore, Seoul, South Korea, Tokyo, Japan, and then through Hawaii back to the U.S. Those were 4 countries that had been waiting since before COVID to start collaborating with us. They'd asked me to come to the countries many times. And I just can't get there yet. So I made the point to go and hit the contacts so we could add those groups to start, coming online. And at the same time, I had a couple gentlemen that I know that do things in Africa and another guy down in Australia that I've known for years. We've been collaborating for a while, and I decided with that move, it's time to go ahead and finish out the last 2 continents and to make us totally global. So a few weeks ago, I brought them both on within a week of each other. Nab Mansouri, vice chair over Africa, and David Clare, he's an author and speaker, and he's in Australia. So we can now collaborate. They will take the leads, help with governments, help say, for example, if I got somebody in Mexico and they want to sell stuff in Africa, they can. Or if there's guys and there's countries in Africa that say they need soybean or they need some avocados or something, we can go down to Mexico and get them. Mm-hmm. Or they need some stuff from the U.S. So that is where we're at. Some chambers do things like they have golf tournaments, they have parades, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's a typical thing. And we used to do golf tournaments and monthly luncheons. We don't do those anymore. Our stuff is very goal-driven, project, direct B2B, or just it's project-driven.
It's the best way.
Yeah. And it's tangible results. Yeah. And we'll have people come in to join, and I'll go, I don't think we're the chamber for you. I don't think I can do anything for you. Yeah, totally. But then I'll have others, and they get it and ask Kevin, and we, and we go and we take it, and we didn't charge him to go to Mexico. He pays for his way and stuff, but we don't make money on it. Most of the other chambers, they'll sell trips because they're not even taking you to do business. You're just doing a trip with them. And they're making money on everybody they sell the trip to. We never sell our trips. But you may ask to go, and I'm like, I prefer you not to go because I don't think you have the stuff that we're going to meet with.
Yeah.
And we only bring like 5 or 10.
Yeah,
People go,
exclusive.
because we're doing business.
Real serious tours of billionaires, millionaires, government leaders.
Yeah,
Real-
contracts. You're going to do
real thing.
contracts, and we'll find out who's going. And we set the meetings up.
Yeah.
So a lot of the other groups, I call them handshakes and high fives. They're just going in to do and take pictures. No business gets done.
Bullshitters,
Yeah, nothing's happening.
Too many of those out there too.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say, if you follow the saying, your network is your net worth.
I know. I love that.
Yours,
saying,
Richie,
buddy.
is global.
Oh well, thank you.
Your
I
net
love
worth
that
global.
saying, dude.
Yeah.
And I can't. You're gonna have me on camera here. I may steal that from you.
Hey,
I
man, it's
love
not
that.
in mind. Just use it.
That
please.
is. I admit it's his, but I'm so going to coin that phrase. I'll try to credit you for it when I can.
No, I don't think I even came up with this. It's all yours. I think it's true. I mean, technically, that's what we do every day. We have clients who keep coming back with us and giving us hundreds of thousands of dollars of business, and simply because of networking. I mean, we did that today all day. You were there with us.
Yeah.
At the exposition. At the core. That's what it is. It's networking. It's nurturing the relationships. It's taking care of people. Making it happen in business. Yeah.
Well, when you see today what we did, within 4.5 hours, got 73 new business client potentials of large corporations, school districts, government entities, power plants, all by investment, networking, effort, energy, coordination, design, acquisition, setup, presentation, and presence.
Mm-hmm.
So with all 10 of those factors were our success factors for today. And if you do all those things, as you see, whether it's global networking, whether it's Mexican international relations, whether it's corporate furniture, it's all the same. It's the ethic and the planning that goes behind everything that is why we're all successful.
Yeah.
So I just
makes
want
sense.
the podcast listeners to know that if you have your plan and you follow the blueprint properly, that's what's going to ensure your success. If you deviate from a proven plan, that's where the risk happens.
Yeah. Sometimes, you have a product or an item that somebody needs, like you guys, right? When they come in, they need it. Your pricing, your service and stuff is good. And so you've got that level of consistency, and that's solid. But at a certain level, when maybe you have more competitors, or after a certain point, it comes down to the relationships and the personalities. Because we were talking earlier, sometimes you'll have a personality goes rogue on you, or can burn a relationship that you've built up and everything
for a long time.
So to me, ultimately, high business and a lot of business, and that's the old cliche. It's not what you know, but who you know.
Yeah.
It's true. It gets down to the networking and the business. And you want to do business with people that you like and that you want to do things with, Yeah. Sometimes if it's a limited product, you put up with them because you got no choice. But most of the time, you're creating friendships, relationships, loyalty, and I think that's ultimately, especially I joke, I'm like, see, people at the time you get to my age, I like to do just business with people that I want to do business with, that I would go on a trip with.
Yeah.
And we would still do business, right?
You have a good time, have a beer with a steak, go out, go to a show, go to do a deal. I mean, it feels good.
Yeah.
It's like living life, right?
Yeah.
It's not just, I'm going here to a corporate event to do this and I'm, stressed out. I'm looking forward to this trip and it's going to be creative and fun.
Yeah.
And that's what I thrive so much working with you, Reggie. And I think our synergy is so great. Is every time we go out, it's not just fun, but we're accomplishing a lot and we're changing lives and we're changing economies. Government leaders are watching. I mean, big things are happening, and people love that. And between the Spanish and the English and the history and the politics and the business and everything that we came from, it creates a unique story that attracts even more attention than us separate. So when people see us, I want to get with Reggie, I want to get with Ken, when are they coming to town? We'll have the drivers, this, that ready. So they're more excited. And to collectively, just like I say, two heads are better than one, with our connections and skills and assets and knowledge, we're able to leverage that together. And the HICC, Cube World, USA Media, Mexico, and all these things are born. And that creates so much noise and notion that this podcast is going to create more podcasts. So I'm seeing as this lights the fire to what's going to be a huge inferno of success.
Yeah. And that old saying that if you enjoy what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And that's true. Now the thing is, okay, so people in our position and in our age and stuff will realize what I'm about to say is true. And for people that are just starting businesses or getting into it, listen to this. When you get into people that really, what they do is almost their lifestyle. Like we've talked about this, right? Like I live, eat, and sleep chamber. I sleep very little. And with all these people around the world, I get calls from Europe and China because they're always up, right? I'm always awake. You're like that.
Yeah,
the way that we do things, it's a lifestyle. It's what we do. So when people like you and I and others that we know get together, we're doing business, but it's our lifestyle. So most people, they think like we're having lunch, but the conversations that we have, which to them they think is social, there's business that's going on right there because our work and our life and everything, and it's not a bad thing. People say you need to have a good balance. We do, but it's just blended into our personality.
Yeah.
And so we'll talk about things, for example, like at dinner, we're sharing stories and we're doing things, but those stories had some functionality that led to ideas.
Yeah.
And that's what happens.
Yeah, and knowledge too.
Yeah.
We both had experiences with unions, we're sharing our
Yeah,
union stories.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it just further reminds us why, not to deal in those certain situations again. And maybe I learned from your situation how to avoid a union issue, and you learned from my situation how to avoid one. And collectively, we have that much more knowledge. So even if we were just sharing stories, like you said, we're really building ideas.
That's exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
You can be sitting there, everybody else all they heard was a story. We shared business information by the use of stories. Everybody else was entertained. We were shop talking, right?
Yeah.
Right?
No, totally.
Yeah.
That's intel right there.
Yeah, that
Dude.
is. It's like, enough to sell. All right.
I pick all that up.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, that's great. And then hopefully that's what we inspire the young entrepreneurs and the older ones that are starting out as well. To learn from us and be inspired and take those small cores and lessons and apply them to your own business and self.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times entrepreneurs need to understand that first and foremost, you need to shut up and listen. Okay, he was my first like official full-on business mentor years ago before we became like partners and best friends. What I do, I shout at him and I listen. I watch his back and I listen. Okay, and then I do it on my own time. And then the second thing you need to learn is you got to do work for free at your own time without expecting shit in return.
Yeah.
Well,
So you can learn.
Yeah.
Because I think mentors are a staircase to success. Like he's taught me a lot. My other business mentors taught me a lot, and also helped me avoid mistakes, expensive mistakes.
Yeah.
Some of them I had to learn the hard way because there's been
warned
situations
you
he
a
told me,
few.
hey,
He'll tell you,
do
but
this,
you don't listen to
do
him,
this.
right?
Yeah, and I was like, I'm gonna try. Like
Yeah.
I had a deal or two go wrong but I'm
You
like,
gotta let you go.
let me-
Okay.
yeah,
but
fair and square,
go ahead.
fair and square. I told him, hey, let me try.
Yeah.
So he respected that, and I respected that. I tried. Wasn't the best result, but hey, sometimes you win,
Now
sometimes
you
you
know.
learn.
Yeah.
Right? But if you listen and if you do the work, you actually get the results. But everybody wants like stuff quick nowadays.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to be overnight success.
Oh, yeah.
And that doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
I always say you got to be hungry before you're full, So you got
that's
to
good.
want to have it. You got to be hungry, and the next guy's going to try to take your food from you because he's wanting to learn the knowledge as well. And if you don't have that drive and that passion, and no one's going to teach you. Not a school, not a book, not an infomer, nobody.
Mm-hmm.
You have to want to learn. And same thing like you're saying. We always tell our guys, if you want a promotion, it'll happen today. Just show me what you could do. I'll pay everyone more money right now. Just prove to me more skills that you have. They can't do it, or it takes them a long time, or a few of them will try, and they show me they're making progress. So when I give the morning meetings, I tell everyone, you're in charge of your own promotion or demotion here, and it's up to you every single day. I'm going to be seeing your improvements or your stagnation, which is a decline. And so when you let people know that, it's up to them to sink or swim. And it's the same thing with entrepreneurship. You can lead the horse to the water, but can't drink. Same thing. So I've taken so many people I've mentored. I'm sure you too, like we were saying, and you rise them up and you think they're great, and then they fall or get greedy or steal or lie, and something always happens to derail it. Well, they were just never cut out for the business. Yet the ones that you never expect, that were quiet, that did their time, that studied and stayed silent and observed everything and took good notes, in time, those are the ones that end up blossoming for success.
Well, and you brought up a really good topic and stuff about trying it, and even says it. And we kind of sometimes, as long as you know that there's not going to be too much ancillary collateral damage that will be like devastating, sometimes you have to let people, even though you know it's not going to work, you got to let them see it through. Because sometimes if they just go with you and it doesn't work, okay, maybe they learn. But there is some essence to learning the humility of a bad decision, the repercussions of a bad decision, how it plays out. And sometimes you go, I'm going to let you learn that. Because you need to know what it feels like when you lose that money. You need to know what it feels like when you have to have the embarrassment that the guy even told me and I still did it and I messed it up. Or now I've got to make this good and I have to make it good. It's on my, and there is so much to learn in that sometimes people are situations you go, you know what? No, this is the perfect time for them to learn that lesson. I am going to let them do it by themselves. And it's not to be mean or to go, I told you so. It's because we know all of that stuff internally that you will learn mentally that you're not if you don't experience that. And I have, like sitting in the room and stuff, I call him my succession plan. I have my son Royce, who I've been kind of, been training in some stuff. And he's grown up with this stuff. But so I'm ramming all this stuff. Like he's getting his real estate courses. He's going to college. He's taking conferences in our industry. I'm just ramming all this stuff.
Yeah.
And he sits there and he goes, Dad, I'm not even sure if I'm supposed to say anything, or there's so much going on. It's like drinking from a fire hose. And I go, I know, and I get it. And I go, but that's it. You're learning by osmosis right now.
Yes.
And I just need you to experience these situations, these conversations, and you're doing the right thing by just listening, because this is your process right now.
100%.
And I said, but in a year or two or so, all of a sudden this conversation is going to come up.
Starts clicking.
Yeah. And I go, all of a sudden it's going to click one day and you go, oh my God, I get it now. And there's going to be different conversations, or there'll be repeats. And you go, I remember that conversation we had a year ago. It was exactly on this topic. And I go, then when you'll start getting it. So I go, 3 to 5 years, dude, you're going to be good to go. And I go, because you're way ahead of the curve I was on, because I had to figure mine out on my own. And I'm spoon feeding you, to a point. But so this is good. And that's an example of the employees, and especially like the way that you do things, which is, I mean, you're focused on industry, but you're very good about like now media and now whatever. And when you do stuff, you're very good about doing it, but you do it right. Yeah. Right? If you're going to do it, it's worth all your effort, or don't do it at all.
Yeah. You got to give it 100%. Like all the startups I do, I complete one, I feel I accomplished all I can. And once that's good to go, then I move on to the next one. And now, with the Cube World USA, it's pretty much on autopilot, and we still have to work at it, but it's a living, breathing entity now. And Cube World Media is a baby that's just born. And, depending on the media guys that are here, my DJs and artists, how well that goes. World Transporter with Alex, our logistic company.
Yeah.
He's now an official nationwide businessman, legit certified and registered and insured and all that. So it's nice now that I've been able to give from the life I created in Cube World USA, gave birth to Cube World Media that brought enough attention to create World Transporter. Now World Transporter is going to empower another startup, and it goes on and on and on and on until you have a whole library of enterprises. And so I've learned this personally from some really successful mentors and people that I've had and I've worked with, and I've been blessed to work with some of the business leaders of Earth as well, and not just work with them, but be partnered with them since a very young age.
Yeah.
Since I was 19 years old, I was partners with billionaires.
I know, incredible, incredible stuff. Incredible stories I hear from you, incredible.
I've been raised, like, just seeing them, helping them from their startups with 10 people to 50 to 100 to 1,000 to 2,000 to buying the building, to putting their name on a skyscraper and tearing the whole thing down for them.
Yeah.
And I was there from start to finish, from inception, and we were there from lunches to dinners to company meetings to designs and architects and building managers and leases and commercial realtors and agents and all these different things, right, to build a company up to that big. And I was right alongside many people throughout the decades doing this. So with that experience, it bred me for a whole new ball game now. And I feel like I'm finally at the point, thank God, and everything that I put in the work, that I could share that knowledge with people like Alex, with people like Alan, and all the others that work here, and help them grow in their entrepreneurship. So then it pushes our growth as well. And unilaterally, we're all collectively growing. And then once I had that much growth, now then it ties in with the HICC. And now I have a whole studio, a media company, a podcast guys, the DJs, the drivers, the logistics, the pullers, the refurbishers, that install everything, right, to facilitate our success.
Yeah. I think I hinted to this. Last night we were talking about reality show. I thought, hey, you'd be a great person on a reality show. I thought this for a while, and I don't think I ever told you, but usually when we're together, and the more I hear about your stories and the things you're doing and stuff, I literally was sitting there thinking, I'm watching a movie script play out. Because one day I'm going to go to the movies, and it's going to be like the movie about your life and how it went through. And I'm like, yeah, I remember that story and how it happened and stuff. Seriously, I think one day it'll be like a Jeff Bezos kind of thing or whatever.
Try spending every day with this guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, but
you're still at the beginning of credits with this guy.
It's a movie with this
guy. And I told you this yesterday. I'm like, I met you. You're like the next Dan Bongino, right? So Dan had his podcast, and now he's doing like assistant director of FBI. But I'm like, well, we had to have a replacement. Oh, you're totally him, dude. You're like, only you look younger than him, actually.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you're like the younger Dan Bongino, and you guys got this podcast going. So I mean, you guys got onto some great stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited to kind of see the beginning of it. want to help with some great personalities or topics and stuff. You know, I'm always like everywhere. And you guys, I think you got something really good here. And whatever I can do to help, and I see as you as a board director and member, and having getting to meet you and work with them, this is, I think, a great project. You guys got great studios, and they're expanding. What, Las Vegas next?
Las Vegas, Houston
oh my gosh,
after that.
Yeah. So
Mexico wanted to do a studio once we're ready.
yeah, so this is gonna be phenomenal. This is gonna be phenomenal.
It's gonna be
So, you know, again, I get to be this little character in this master plot of this stuff. There'll be a movie one day. So I'll have my little 30-second cameo, the guy that plays Reggie that stepped in real quick or something.
your Stan Lee moment.
Yeah. Be like, that was me.
That's
That was
the
the
dude.
that was the little 30 seconds I was in the lifetime there. Yeah.
That was the dude that took him to Mexico.
Yeah.
No, one day for sure. Yeah, I mean, you yourself. Why don't you talk about your book? Can you talk about
Oh,
it? Can you talk about it?
I've
Maybe
so,
tie that into your background.
Yeah.
Give a little bit of intrigue going on right here for our listeners and viewers.
Yeah. This will be exciting. Thank you. Yeah. All right. Nice plug there. So the first book, a win-win situation, and what it means is what I need, what others need. It is a book about like self-help and motivation and things like that, and kind of a way to, I think, improve life. It was a #1 bestseller in 3 categories. I was real surprised. I did get nominated for a Pulitzer Prize. We find out in May, and whatever happens, that's just amazing itself. But the next book, I have a poetry book that hits this week. But the next book actually is one that I'm really excited about, and a lot of other people. So, in my capacity, how things started, I have several friends who are in law enforcement, from in FBI, DEA, CIA, Secret Service, things like that, and it's just kind of happened and expanded over the years. And so at one point, I started doing some collaborations, as I call them, on projects, as I call them, with certain federal agencies.
We'll just leave it at that.
With certain federal agencies. We'll leave it at that. And as I was getting exposed to business things, or I was getting contacts from like people from Iran, from people that I think I'm going to Egypt to do some business deals in terms of people from Muslim Brotherhood. I get a call from somebody who's wanting to buy diamonds, and they're in Zurich. And then the only place I can find the diamond capacity they want is with Alrosa Diamonds, which is in Moscow. You know, to a guy meeting me who's an arms dealer when I arrived at Malta. So all kinds of this crazy stuff that I'm getting, right? Going into Mexico prison to meet with a gentleman that had a project that had misplaced $70 million for Pemex. Yeah, that was an interesting one. So anyway, so these stories, I finally decided, you know, I need to put this stuff into like a book. And so I have, and it's, the cover's done, and the book's pretty well written. I'm doing some final edits on it because there's stuff that I can say, stuff I can't say. I still want it to be interesting, but obviously there's, you know, like I was telling you last night that there's a woman in the story when I was in Cairo, that this real fragile grandma-looking lady, and I showed you her real picture. In the book, her face will be whited out. But anyway, this book is some of these different stories that were moments that I jokingly call them my spy stories or whatever, where I was collaborating, I was getting information, and I would come back and work with federal agencies because they were some weird situations that could have impacted countries or cultures, or sometimes they dealt with you know, elected officials or other groups and stuff. They were very interesting. And so it started out where really I was just trying to make sure I wasn't going to get in trouble, or that I had this information I needed to, you know, make sure somebody else do. And it just kind of kept expanding. And pretty soon it evolved into what it evolved into. And so this book is about that, because really they're my stories. It's my information on the stuff that happened and that I knew was going on from my contacts, right? So that's kind of where it gets set aside. But there were some amazing things. And I had some situations where I wasn't sure what was going to happen to me. And there's one picture, like I was showing you, where I'm in Cairo, and I'm supposed to meet with this group, and I've kind of figured out who they are, and they decided they want to meet behind the pyramids. And I'm thinking, oh, behind the pyramids, we can't meet in a coffee shop or a restaurant or something. So I take a picture and I post it, because some of the groups I was working with, that was kind of the ways I would leave breadcrumbs. And I'm basically showing the rooftop where I'm staying, so you know my stuff would be there, or start there. Yeah, and then I'm somewhere back there, guys. So look for my body back there.
Behind the pyramid.
And I told you, like, the time I arrived, and I had to have some meetings in Dubai, but it was supposed to kind of be quiet. So I was going to HICC, which is an oil and gas thing in Abu Dhabi. So I arrived in Abu Dhabi early, and then I went and got on and paid cash for a bus ticket to ride at night to Dubai to meet with somebody, get back on the next night on a night. It's only like about an hour and a half, 2 hours in between, but with on a bus, like takes forever. But so then I get back on the bus again, pay cash, and go back to Abu Dhabi because it wasn't supposed to have happened. So there's no track of me ever being in Dubai. I was at Abu Dhabi at HICC, which I did. I did go to that. But the other stuff was trips that didn't happen. So I have a few of those situations too. So that's what's in that book. So we jokingly call them my spy stories, but I do have somebody literally I'm talking to tomorrow, who's a producer. So we're going to talk about the possibility of it being developed into something TV or I don't know, comic book. I don't know, but we'll see.
What sounds like you've been to a lot of spicy situations, right?
Yeah.
So what trades help you get out? So obviously you're sitting here with us today.
Yeah.
What trades help you get out of those situations of life? And then are any of those trades are the ones that help you succeed in business?
I'm very versatile. I think really well on my feet. I don't sweat it. It takes a lot to make me sweat or to get me frustrated or whatever, because I've seen some bad situations and bad scenes in life in different countries that, I talked a little bit last night. Sometimes it's weird. There's certain people have certain personalities that I think God makes that can endure some of the bad visual things that are going on in the world and still function, where other people would just wreck. You couldn't believe it. I mean, I've seen, and the prostitution things in different countries, I won't say that, just awful scenes and just that, it's human trafficking and just some of the poverty of the world in these different countries I've had to go to, some of the business deals that are going on, the business people that you're having to sit there and do business with. And there's techniques, that sometimes you have to, because if they think you're too much of a Boy Scout, they're not going to tell you their dirty laundry, right? Right. And I kind of look like a Boy Scout anyway. So I had to kind of come up with this image that, and the agencies kind of helped me, but that I can work with you, that I've seen everything, so I don't judge. And it's true. I'm pretty open, but they got to think that they can tell you their dirty laundry, and it's a trick. And so they got to trust you. And sometimes you got to go places with them or do things and stuff, because ultimately you need that information. And when you get back, sometimes you're going, I need a shower and I can't scrub all the slime off of me enough. Yeah. But you need the information. And having to do that in different countries, different languages, different cultures, and having to pick it up really quick, Johnny on the spot. I don't know. I don't know why or whatever, but it's just something that I've had. And, that helps. I used to do a lot of acting and stuff when I was younger. I speak bits and pieces of 7 or 8 languages. Not enough to hold a lot of conversations, but enough that if I arrive or I'm in a restaurant, or you would think I know what I'm doing, right? And then I also have some other accents that I do. So like for example, when I was in Cairo, one of this group, that they weren't with the group I was talking to, but it looked like it was some ancillary groups or whatever. And they reached out and they were like, "Are you American?" I mean, they looked like they were just ready to do something to me. And I was with my handler or whatever, and I acted at first like I was German. Another guy kind of ran into me, and the go-to that we used, that I was Scottish, and my Scottish accents and stuff. I've told a lot of it to my sons and stuff, but I'd been to Scotland quite a bit. Our family actually originate from Scotland.
Could you do one, a Scottish accent?
Oh yeah, I could talk to Scotland right now. And there's even variations of being like Scotland. So if you want to talk like this, but if you get a roof for Scotland, you get yourself, actually people can understand what you're doing. Right, so it means like a roof for Scotland, like you have a further north, right? How can you understand what you're saying? So there's levels of Scottish that depending on what I talk to, that I could do it. And they go, "Oh, well, you're Scottish, right? Yeah." But I could do Irish, I could do Australian, I could do, yeah.
That's a good one,
impressive,
Wow. So they come and they ask me, and I'd be like, "No, you're from Scotland. What are you talking about?" Yeah, Edinburgh. If you get down from the fortress and you go straight down, we're a little habitat on the left, right? That's where I would be. Yeah, so I could jump into it. Yeah.
That's impressive.
But I Irish, I'm Australian, I can a little bit of Italian. There's a bunch of them, but that would be my go-to. So I needed to not be me. I would be Scottish.
Yeah, nobody really has beef with Scottish people in the world.
No, they don't. They that's exactly.
Yeah.
And they go Braveheart. Oh, Braveheart. Okay, you're good. Because even England, they might have a beef with England, but Scotland, because Scotland, they fought English.
They respect them.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay. No, that's what I found. Everybody's like, yeah, that's cool. Scotland. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
That was my go-to.
How did it help you in business? Did you bust out an accent sometimes during a business meeting?
Oh, I make people laugh or something, but no. But no, I used it then. I've actually when I've emceed some stuff. One time I emceed an event that was an international event, and I would put a hat on and change accents. So that night I don't know how many different accents just for fun to try to show different things to spice it up a little bit. I think it was like this global kind of event, and so I did Irish and Scottish and and I would jump back and forth. I did it's like I can do some proper English as well. And so you have English, which is maybe like the Queen's English, right? Very nice. And so, but you also got like this Cockney side. You come like Liverpool or something, right? Hey, me and my mate, so we got a happy here, and we're going to do what we're going to do, right? And so there's all these different variations of like English, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and then the Australian, and then and then like my Irish, you can do it like your Irish, and it's a different sound, right? And then if you're Scottish, or then even if it's from like English, and then there's the variations that blend because those three cultures blend. So I learned all these variations from traveling and being those things, and depending on what you do, I would do and have fun with them, And then I've got like the Canadians that we're going about right now, right? We have some coffee and go about, and you got like I would do Americans do it. I like one of my favorites is like do from New York, right? I go up with this buddy, he's from New York. We're gonna go get some coffee. We're going to Long Island. We're gonna go down like Nantucket. We're gonna mess it up, man. We're gonna mess it up. That's all I know. That's all I know, right? Yeah, right. So that's kind of some. So I just do all these jokes and variations.
Just blend into your environment.
Yeah.
That's what you have to do. Same thing when I go to Mexico, you got to put on a Paisa accent for them and start talking their language because Mexicans don't want to hear American Spanish. They don't want to hear
No, man,
no
bro,
cholo,
no
salsa.
going cholo, man, in the coche, we're going to down, we're going to get some like botón, we're going to get some tequila. That's right, vato. Hey, man,
they hate that shit.
I feel you, bro. I feel you.
Like,
yeah.
Órale, güey, Paisa, cállate, güey.
Yeah.
So you got to know your things, right? And that's what makes you good at business, I think. Your dialect, your versatility, your adaptability to change and to circumstance. Because we all get thrown in the furnace and the fire in business, and it's really how do you come out of it? Yeah. Right? And that's up to you and your own skills. So that's why I tell everyone could do what I do, but can you do what I do? Like Reynaldo says in a famous interview, because I'll give you the blueprint how to be Reynaldo. Will you follow the blueprint how to be Reynaldo?
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
I don't think you will. If you are, hey, here's the blueprint. So that's what it is, man. And I've always thought of that. Everyone has their own blueprint. How many people can do your blueprint? Very few. If you're good enough, if you're the best.
I like that.
Yeah.
I gotta remember that one. I got a couple things I gotta steal from this talk.
I like to say everybody wants to eat. Fuel will hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, one thing I do want to ask, and you can add to that if you want to. I always ask my guests, right? The name of the podcast is Purpose Over Pleasure, right? Because I feel like, if you live in life without purpose, you're pretty much wasting it.
Yeah.
All of us sitting here, you talked about your purpose earlier. Kevin's got purpose. I have purpose, which, got me to the point where I'm at today. So with your training experience, right? And, you're 57 now.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
pretty good for 57, man.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
But so after living, long, fulfilling life, you got plenty of stories. You're writing, books about it. What do you think is the purpose of life? And the reason why I ask that question is because I like to provide value to my listeners. And I asked Kevin's question before as well. What do you think the purpose of life is?
I think it has stages. And actually, I did put it in my first book. I think you have kind of 3 stages. Your first, and I kind of break it up into thirds, 25, 25, 25, because that's about life expectancy of 75, right? First 25, you're learning things. You're figuring it out, and you're getting information. The next 25 is where you're applying it. You're making money, you're building your family, you're kind of building your legacy, some things like, right? You're helping business and stuff. I think the last third, the last 25 is when, in the middle 25, I think you do things to give back. Like I sat on some boards like JDRF, March of Dimes, YMCA, and I did. That was part of the process. You got to give back and you help those that maybe you're less fortunate or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So you do that. I think the last third, and I say this in the book, is where you create your legacy, where you start passing on those stories, you start training succession plans, you leave things so that people remember what they meant from you. I have a brother who's a minister, and he gave this, in one of his sermons, he said this thing about, give the people flowers while they're alive. Don't bring them to the funeral, so let them know how you feel. So I've always tried to do that. And this poetry book is coming out. It actually has a lot of poems in it to the people that are my family, to my son. So So there's going to be a published book that they will always know I wrote them something special, and they always have that no matter what happens to me. And I still get kind of choked up about this once in a while, but in my book, I almost died when we had COVID. And I was very cavalier. I was out helping people. I was helping get in PPE stuff because of all the contacts with China. I was helping governments get their PPE stuff. And I thought I'd actually already had it maybe earlier in the year, and I think I did because I'd been in China and came back October, so we were on planes. So I thought I've already had it, I'm immune. So I was going out and seeing everybody. I had a friend that got it, and people wouldn't even pick him up from the art. They wouldn't even pick him up in the hospital. I went and got him. I'm like, dude, I'll high five you, man. I don't care. I'm good.
No, of course, yeah.
Went and picked him up and stuff. But a few weeks later, I got it, and I got really bad, and it totally coated my lungs. When I got taken into the hospital, all you could do is drop off because they weren't letting anybody stay. It was like 3 or 4 a.m. The hospital, they call me on my cell phone while I'm in the ER, and there's nobody else will come in the room, and they go, Mr. Gray, do you have a will? I'm like, yeah. They go, I'm sorry to say this, but can you bring it to the hospital or have someone bring it? Yeah, I think I know what that means. The doctor then comes, and he only comes to the edge of the door. And he goes, I have something to tell you. And I go, I don't think you need to tell me too much because the office just called and asked me to bring a will. He goes, yeah, I'm afraid you have it really bad. And he goes, we're going to do all we can, but you have it really bad. And so they took me up. This is in the Woodlands. They take me up to this floor. Farthest room they can get me from. I'm isolated. They had to put me on 14 liters of oxygen, which is most you have. They were trying to intubate me. I wouldn't do it because I'm like, I'm going to fight this. I'm going to stay awake as long as I can. So they pretty much, they're all coming in hazmats. And so it was pretty much a given that they thought I was done. So I start calling. And luckily I had a cell phone. And I called my family, called all my boys and stuff. And my youngest one, the last call I made was to him. And I took my mask off because I thought I didn't want his last memory of me being with this mask on. And I was having trouble breathing. And then the machine started going. It kind of freaked out the staff. They come ready because they thought I had already died. And but I explained, I go, no, I told everybody in my family, I just told them I was fine, but I was telling them bye. And so then I sat there and I thought, okay, well, I guess I just wait till I fall asleep and I'm dead. Let's how many hours this is going to take or however long this is going to take. But at least I got to tell everybody bye. So then I sat there and I thought, who else do I need to call? Who else do I need to say I'm sorry to? Or, and I thought of people who had done things wrong to me. And I thought, well, they should be calling me, But I go, I actually did it right. I don't have any regret. I don't have anybody I need to say anything to. And at first I was sad because I thought, man, this is it. This is really it. But then I also thought, I did a lot of these trips where it was dangerous, but I was alone. And I'm not afraid to be alone. And I started feeling sorry for some of the people that didn't maybe get a chance to call and say goodbye or that were alone in the hospital and were scared to death. And I realized I wasn't scared. And then and that started this very liberating, gracious feeling. And I ended up thanking God and going, I've stood on the Great Wall of China. I've seen the pyramid. I've stood on the pyramids of Egypt. I have flown over the North Pole. I have seen the Christ down in Brazil. I have, been in Morocco on the sands and the deserts. I've done it all. Yeah, everything I want to do, I did it. Mm-hmm. And I did all this stuff. So I actually started getting teared up, and because I go, thank you. I've had a great life. So if I got to go now, I got no complaints. And that moment was one of the most liberating ever to this day in my life. To know, to have the feeling that I'm about to die and being okay with it and being grateful. And I'm not just saying that. And I write it in the book, and so it's kind of funny because my son and I were talking today. Somehow we got in the situation. I go, son, I'm not, ever since that time, I go, I'm not afraid of death. I'm okay with it. I go, I want to go as long as I can. But I go, I'm good with that point in the hereafter or what's going to happen. And I think a lot of people aren't. They're scared to death. They have no idea and whatever. I go, I had to face it, and I'm good with that. I go, and that's just a very liberating lifestyle to have. So everything else you do can be very cavalier and whatever. And I go, I think I told my guy, I hope it just doesn't drag out. Like, I hope I don't get hit by a car, like drug down the road or something. I don't want a lot of pain. Yeah. But I go, but when it happens, I'm okay. Because I go, man, I got 3 amazing sons and legacies and stuff. I've seen all this stuff. I've got books. Now there's poetry books, poems written to people I love. What do I have to complain about? Yeah. And everybody, that's the thing. Live your life so you're at that point. And and just do it like that. If you had to think, if I something happened to me today, what would be my legacy, or what would I go? Wish I'd have done that. Wish I'd said. And if you have those, you make that list, knock that list out, get that list taken care of, because you do not want to be, and take this, I mean it, you do not want to be laying in your deathbed. I was literally in my deathbed, and go, I should have done that. I wish I'd have done that. I wish I would. I wish I would. And have all these regrets to pass on. And luckily, I don't. I didn't.
Yeah. You know, Reggie, I think that's the most beautiful, powerful things you ever said. A great statement, man. And I feel the exact same way, and that resonated with me deeply.
Touched my heart.
So, yeah, because I too, several different times, have been on my deathbed. And while I haven't lived as long as you, for my age, I've experienced double the life of most people, my triple. So, the amount of things I've done. And so at those moments too, I finally had peace where I thought I was going to die. And I said the same thing. I said, you know what? If I die right now, at least I did everything I ever wanted to do on my bucket list. Yeah. And anything above this is a bonus and an extra
Gravy.
in life. It's great.
All gravy.
So when I survived those moments, when I came out, out of, life and death situations, blood, guts, gore, like life loss, all kinds of things, you appreciate life a lot more, and you look at it different, and you have a whole, I know you do, and I do have a whole new profound appreciation. And Alex been through some heavy things too.
Yeah.
Heavy in his own respect, right? So I think even Alex could say, right, when those life and death 100%. Situations.
Daily. Every time you don't know you're coming back home, right?
It changes the way you view things. And as men,
sure does.
I think that's what makes us great, and that's what gives us our purpose in life. When you could see life is so fragile and so short and so precious, and you have the experience like we do to share that life and experience and knowledge with other people to avoid the mistakes and survive and live either the good life that you lived or avoid the mistakes from the things that you've learned, like your children, like your grandchildren, like your parents even sometimes, that to me is life and purpose, over pleasure, as your podcast states.
And I don't think it's arrogance, and I hope it doesn't mean that way, but I think at a certain point, after you survive certain things, like me surviving, I'm like, okay, God's got something else he needs me to do. Yeah. So in a way, because I've had, like, on that trip I did around the world, I actually had to do a stop in Cyprus that was risky for something I won't get into. One of my last final adventures.
That was a good one.
Cyprus is an interesting country.
Yeah.
You told me that one.
I told you why I was going to do that.
That was wild, dude. That was a good one.
Yeah. So,
that was a good one.
because some people were like, then why? And I'm like,
that was hardcore.
I don't mean it to be arrogant, and I'm not trying to be stupid, but I think to some point I'm kind of like, I don't think I'm going to get killed because I don't think he's done with me yet. And maybe that's the one where I'm going to lose it. Or they'll probably we wouldn't be like, oh yeah, and it'll be like, no, that was your last one, But
hell yeah.
But I'm like, I've got something else he's got planned for me, or he'd have taken me out
long time
back in COVID.
I agree with that one. Speaking of Cyprus, real estate is pretty cheap there. So at some point I was going to buy it, but then I didn't. I think in my from what I've seen in life, right, in the situation I've been exposed to, and me and Kevin talk about it all the time, and we talk to you about it as well. I've seen people literally lose their life because they're in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah.
If they walked a second slower or faster, if they were a foot to the right or a foot to the left, they would have been alive today.
Yeah.
The chances of another person committing suicide and falling on you when you're walking are pretty slim, right?
Yeah.
And at the same time, I've seen 2 magazines of bullets sprayed into a crowd in front of a taco truck. Nobody got hit. Okay, I was collecting casings by myself, right, as evidence.
Yeah.
And the person who was intended for got hit once, through and through, under the skin. I mean, if it's not your time to go, it's not your time to go.
Wow.
So probably like your type of situations, he's had such situations, I had the situations. I mean, so we both believe in. I mean, it looks like you believe in that in the higher power too, and but it's kind of both sides of the token, right? Sometimes you do whatever you need to do so you don't have regrets, but also get your shit together because you never know.
Yeah. You don't know when the last day is going to be, that last ride where you're like, oh yeah, I'll be fine. No, that was it, buddy.
You never know when the court will end.
Yeah.
Oh, that's one thing we definitely all three of us can agree on.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I mean, there's nothing else I can add to that story. That ending was perfect. I mean,
yeah.
I'm gonna ride that. I'm gonna ride that wave for the rest of the week.
And the other thing I would say to that is like what I said earlier is when you get to a certain stage in life, just do business with the people that you want to do your life with.
Amen.
Because there'll be business leaders and stuff. But it should be people that you would take a trip with them.
Yeah.
You would want to hang out at their house.
Yeah.
You know each other. get yourself in a position in life where at a certain age, or especially like my age, like that,
Yeah.
I tell people now, I only do business with people I want to spend time with
Oh,
because I want
totally.
to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And we're not doing business anymore. We're helping each other. We're collaborating.
Yeah.
We're having a good time. We're
Very
telling stories. We're right.
Mm-hmm.
And because then you will. That's how you're going to go out. You're going to be like, I had a trip to LA. I think I did business in it and stuff, but I had a good time with Kevin.
Yeah.
And I went to Mexico. I hear we did a lot of business, but I was just there with a bunch of my friends from Mexico,
Yeah.
right? There you go.
That's life.
That's
Yeah.
life. That's where you want to get.
Yeah, yeah. Like when we went to Mexico, I didn't know why I was going. I didn't know what, but I knew that we were gonna do something great,
Yeah.
and I believed in it. We had a great time. We met the right people, and just atoms collided at the perfect time to create the perfect opportunity.
Oh yeah, and on the last trip, so usually, because I've been there a lot, right? And usually because I'm the president stuff to make a big deal with me, blah blah blah. So the last trip though, this is only I think his second time to speak, but on this trip, so him and I worked together, but he was like the attraction, and when he got done, he got like a standing ovation or something. He got like a bunch of applause. I talked, and they're like, "Oh, that's nice. All right, Reggie talked to you," but they were like, afterwards. Usually, a lot of times they'll come up to me, do pictures like that. They were all like at Kevin because he had like, I did this, I'm going to do this. He was the man. I loved it. It was pretty cool because it's kind of like I brought this guy here and stuff. And that's how it's supposed to work. And that's
Yeah.
actually how I want it. I've got
business.
plenty of stuff. I've got little boards, all kinds of crap. I
Yeah.
love it now when other people, when I go, I got him here to expand so he can do stuff, and he's in a light that, right? And now, that's the kind of stuff I love because that's a legacy, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you want to leave it.
And it's
Yeah.
huge.
Leave a
So
mark.
he connected with the HICC. We had the Danny hosted the party. Then Enrique
Yeah.
Michelle de la Rosa, the billionaires mansion with the Tigers.
Mhm.
And so that's what kicked off the whole thing. And then Marco got involved with the Honorable
Yeah.
Foundation. And then when we give our second speech with Danny, then the Jalisco governor and their whole
Yeah.
economic
Yeah.
empowerment. So and we're gonna go give another speech and another. We're gonna set up our showroom, take pictures there. Him and I are gonna go with the whole Mexican cabinet, and then we even through all this business made a donation to the HICC and delivered Herman Miller
Yeah.
chairs all the way from U.S. Bank all the way down to here in Huntington,
Guadalajara.
and then to Laredo, then to Guadalajara. Dropped off at our showroom, then picked up and delivered to the HICC headquarters
Yeah.
with electric L-shaped height adjustable desks and Herman Miller chairs.
Yeah.
So
That's really cool. That was very generous. Thank you very much too, for them down there. Yeah.
So now
They've got better stuff than I do in Houston.
They do. So now we're not just changing our business and our thing. We're changing other economies, other governments, other communities of business in other countries, and they're sitting in our stuff. They're representing our brands, my logo, his logo, and together collaborating to push our ideas and further the betterment of the economy and the empowerment of people. So to me, Reggie, I think that's the most noble, wonderful thing that we're doing. And just like you, I don't do this for the money. A lot of it that we do is for free. A lot of it we do out of love of our heart. But at the end of the day, it provides a lot of people money and shelter over their heads that makes the world a difference.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I love it, and I look forward to our continued partnership for as long as the time could be to come.
Because our lifestyle becomes a passion.
Yeah.
And you just do things that are fulfilling that passion. The personalities, the projects, right?
You gotta love it, and,
Yeah.
and we're die hard about it. I would die for it. You would die for it. I would die for it. We love it.
Yeah.
That's we gotta feed off that.
passion.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
One of my other sayings is I have the saying that I go, some days it's good to be me. So sometimes you get to have these surreal experiences or go to these places and meet these people. And like I was telling you about the Prime Minister of Malta when we were at the General Assembly, we were down
Nice guy.
all these people that they were, because he was going to be the president of the
EU?
European Union or whatever, right? It was his turn. So they're all congratulating him and talking to him. And I'm just standing by him. So I'm meeting all these people because they're coming to congratulate him or whatever. And I'm having a life surreal moment. And those are some of the situations I'm talking about where you just go, and that was what am I saying? Like, some days it's good to be me. Because some days you just got to take it in and just go, I can't believe this little dude who grew up in a small town in Missouri is standing here doing this. And I think sometimes people, I understand sometimes maybe I put people off because they think it's an arrogant thing. But if you knew me, you know it's not. I'm not saying look at me. I'm saying look at me because I came from a simple family, I came from a poor family. I'm a little dude from Missouri. Can you believe I'm doing that?
Yeah.
Not like, look at me, but it's like, isn't that crazy? If I can do that, anybody could do stuff like this.
Yeah.
That's what's going on in my head.
Yeah. You just have to want it bad enough.
Yeah. But it's just, I'm just amazed. I'm just sitting there going, thank you guys. This is crazy. I can't believe this is happening to me. And that's really the way my mind thinks, not, I don't know, probably the way maybe sometimes it comes across or whatever. Because I'm a salesman, right? So I'm always like pumping it and stuff. But I'm usually just humbled and amazed that I get to do the stuff I do. I don't deserve it. I'm very grateful for it.
Yeah, and we're so grateful to have you here, Reggie. And we look forward to our next podcast. We look forward to all the members of the cabinet. They're going to come through and do podcasts, and also growing the brand and idea of everything we stand for, and also helping empower other future generations.
Oh, definitely. You guys are going to have some great topics, some great speakers. This is going to be a lot of fun for you guys. I'm kind of envious, but I'm going to get to watch them and see them and stuff. And I know you guys are going to tear it up. This is going to be awesome.
And we'll have you whenever you're in town. We'll have you as guest co-host.
There we go. Yeah. Oh, make me come to LA some more. Oh, okay.
Yeah, just Huntington Beach and
if I got to. Okay.
Yeah, just beef fajitas on the beach at the sunset.
Yeah. I'm just because you asked. That's the only reason I'm doing this for you. Okay.
It'll be good to be you in those days.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah. It's one of those. It's good to be me.
It's good to be me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Reggie.
Thanks,
guys. Kevin, always, for co-hosting this episode. I think we covered a lot of ground, man. And
it was fun.
Thank you for being here, sharing the stories.
Just three buddies talking, right?
That's what it is.
Last night, all day.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure having you here.
Pleasure to get to meet you on this trip, Alex, and stuff. And always great hanging with you, buddy.
Yeah, always a pleasure, Reggie. Yeah. Much more to come, and soon broadcasting from Vegas and Mexico and Houston, many other places.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely coming for that podcast.
Yeah. We're gonna do it. It's happening.
It's happening one way or the other. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Well, thank you again, Reggie. Pleasure
Thanks,
having
guys.
you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure.